back to Me, My Bike and I. My name's Rich. We're back with the XV535 again. This might be part 13 actually of the engine rebuild because I've got an oil leak and it's just a reassembly issue. Something's coming out of somewhere that perhaps hasn't been tightened up properly, or maybe one of the gaskets wasn't quite up to it. So I've just been taking a look at it and I've stripped a few parts off thinking it looked simple, and it is simple, but it's just a little bit more than I thought. So let's go take a look and I'll show you where I'm up to. So I've got the side hanger off with the foot peg and gear changer, and I've got the oil strainer off with its pickup. Essentially what I was getting was oil collecting at the bottom of here and dripping, and I just assumed, actually, not assumed, but I suspected it might be one or the other of these gaskets, because when I did the rebuild, these were two of the gaskets that weren't in the set that I bought, so I just reused the old ones. I didn't put any seal around, which probably should have done in hindsight, but I actually don't think it's that now, looking at it, because I've had a further inspection on the bike. And looking at it, there was oil up and around here. That was that little O-ring that we showed you on the pickup, and so it could have been coming out of there. It could have been coming out of the bottom where the actual strainer is, but there was loads of oil on the outside of the casings before I took it away, up in this area, so that sort of led me to think that's where it was leaking from. But having taken it all away and drained all the oil out, which I did first, and cleaned all of the oil away, you can see there's a little puddle of oil there again, a drip. So it's clearly coming from the stator cover gasket. It doesn't mean it's coming from that point, because that's obviously a low point, so it could be coming from anywhere. And bearing in mind there was oil up and around here, it's probably coming from somewhere further up and running down. And of course it's completely empty of oil now and it's still dripping, so it's not taking any pressure whatsoever to leak out. So I think what I've done is just not done a good job on the stator cover gasket, so I'm going to have to fit a new one, I think. So this case is going to have to come off again and fit an entirely new gasket, and I think this time I'll put it on with a little bit of blue sealer, Hylamar blue, I think. Oh, here we go again. Huh. Okay. So looks like the gasket that I put on was broken. Well, not very strong, was it? Well, whether that broke putting it on or I just broke it taking it off. I can't imagine I broke it taking it off. There was no sealer. Nothing sticking it to the surface, so it's quite new, so it shouldn't have been worn out. So maybe I just nicked it putting it on, and that's where the oil was coming out of. Having said that, my primary concern was, did I have a good sealed gasket? And now I think I'll just add a torn one, so right. think I'm going to trim that gasket, and that's done. I just need to put the oil drain plug back in and then just chuck the oil back in. It looks very dark, but it's only done a mile around the block, and I stripped and cleaned the engine, so there's nothing wrong with that. That can go back in. Right, some nut back in, some bolt, whatever, plug. So what I'm going to do is just make sure everything's all nice and dry, get the oil back in, and then see if any drips appear. Tiny bit more. Oh dear. There you go, the oil's all back in there. If I just tilt the bike back up, see, it's just around about the right level now, so it's all good. So that's where the problem started. The oil was pooling just under there, and just behind there is where there was that split in the gasket on the side cover, just there. So I think it's fair to say that's not dripping now. Even when I wiped it off with tissue, it would only take 5 or 10 minutes before oil would start to pool there again. It's been about 10 minutes now since I've filled it back up with oil. Nothing's coming through, and even when the engine was cold it was doing it. Even after I drained all the oil and there was no real weight behind it, it was doing it. So it looks to be okay now. Well, hopefully that was the cause of the issue, and I didn't nick that taking it off. I can't see that I would have done, to be perfectly honest. As it was brand new, nothing was sticking it. I think I probably just caught it when I was putting it on, because it was a bit of a wrestle. Anyway, all replaced. Hopefully no more leaks. I did actually take the cam chain tension off the front as well, because that was weeping, and that's fine now. Well, that's the end of the leak now. Seems to have stopped that for the time being anyway. I shall keep an eye on it. And another little problem has just arisen. If you can spot it on the side of the tank just there, managed to knock the bike over and whack it into the workbench over on this side, and giving it an almighty dent. So I'm going to get on and try and pull that out now, if possible. If not, I'm going to leave it there. It's a rat bike.